A mind stays fresh by how it is used. One habit can keep your thinking young for a long time. You notice that some people stay mentally active as they age, while others become passive. The difference is not just intelligence. It is habit. When you keep engaging your mind, staying curious, asking questions, and checking what is true, your thinking does not fall into autopilot. Many people believe mental decline is unavoidable, but the mind stays sharp when it keeps doing real work. It stays sharp when it keeps facing new questions and new facts. This is not about being busy. It is about being mentally awake and honest. A young mind is built through active, curious thinking. Honest questions keep the mind alive. The mind grows dull when it stops asking. It begins to repeat old answers and rely on habit. Ideas sit still. Instead of being tested, strong thinkers keep asking simple questions. They do not ask to impress others. They ask to understand. They ask what is really happening, how something works, and what would change the result. These questions keep the mind moving. An honest question is not designed to confirm what you already believe. It is meant to find what is true. When you practice this, you stop treating your first thought as the final answer. You treat it as a guess that needs checking. Even in simple situations, honest questions create learning. You can ask why a method works, what causes a mistake, or which part of a process is weak. Each question pushes you toward clarity. Honest questions keep the mind engaged. Not knowing is a normal starting point. Many people fear not knowing. They rush to fill the gap with a quick answer or repeat something they heard. This creates a false sense of stability, but weakens thinking over time. A healthier approach is to accept uncertainty as a signal that more learning is needed. You work with what you can check and leave space for what you do not yet know. When you are comfortable with not knowing, you become more honest. You stop pretending and stop building stories to protect your pride. You can say, "I do not know," and move into real inquiry. This is a key skill for lifelong learning. Comfort with not knowing also prevents mental rigidity. If you can live with uncertainty, you do not need to lock your beliefs too early. You stay open and flexible. A young mind keeps restarting. Experience can create a trap. Once you know a topic, you may stop learning it. You assume you already understand and stop checking the basics. Over time, your knowledge becomes stale. Returning to first principles keeps understanding real. When you rebuild ideas from the ground up, you see gaps that routine hides. You notice where you are using words without clear meaning. You can practice this by explaining a topic as if you are learning it today. Use simple terms. Define the parts. Connect cause and effect. If you cannot do this, your knowledge may not be as solid as you thought. This habit also helps you learn new things. You become less afraid of starting and better at breaking a topic down. A beginner's mindset keeps thinking flexible. Clear explanation is a form of training. Memory can fool you. You may feel like you understand something because you have heard it many times. But when you try to explain it, the idea can fall apart. Simple explanation is a test of understanding. If you cannot explain an idea in plain language, you do not fully understand it. This is not about using fewer words. It is about having a clear structure in your mind. When you explain simply, you find weak points. You notice where you use vague terms, skip steps, or rely on the idea that it just works. Then, you can fix those gaps. This keeps your thinking sharp. This process keeps the mind young because it forces active thinking. You organize ideas, check meaning, and do real mental work instead of repeating phrases. Testing keeps the mind from freezing. Beliefs can become static when they are not checked. People accept ideas because they are common, because a trusted person said them, or because they feel right. Untested beliefs can harden into rigid thinking. A better approach is to treat beliefs as claims that must face reality. They should be tested and allowed to fail. This keeps thinking honest and active. Testing does not require a lab. It means looking for real checks. You compare outcomes, look for counterexamples, try small experiments, and ask what would change your mind. This keeps you from living inside a single story. Testing also speeds up learning. Instead of arguing in your head, you let results guide you. You keep what works and drop what fails. That is how knowledge grows. Connections keep learning alive. Learning becomes stronger when ideas are linked. If new knowledge sits alone, it is easy to forget and hard to use. When new ideas connect to old ones, they become part of a working system in your mind. You can build this habit by asking what a new idea is similar to, what problem it solves, and where it fits with what you already know. Try to explain it using a concept you understand well. These connections strengthen memory and improve problem solving. You can apply ideas in more places and spot patterns faster. This builds a flexible mind that can adapt to new challenges. Curiosity does not require special topics. Many people only learn when forced, for exams, work, or status. But the mind stays young when curiosity becomes part of daily life. You can stay curious about simple things. Ask how something works, why a result looks strange, or what rule is behind a pattern. This keeps attention active, and learning natural. Daily curiosity is practical. Notice small problems and try to understand them. Notice mistakes and ask what caused them. Look at routines and ask if they are the best way. You do not need a big project. You just keep the habit alive. This creates steady mental activity and keeps your mind from becoming passive. Ego can block learning quickly. Pride makes thinking fragile. If you need to look smart, you avoid admitting mistakes. Avoid topics you do not understand and avoid questions that might expose gaps. This limits growth. When truth matters more than status, learning becomes easier. You can say, "I do not know," without shame. You can change your mind without feeling small. You can ask basic questions without fear. This keeps the mind young because learning requires change. Ego tries to protect an old identity, while learning asks you to update. When ego dominates, learning slows. When ego relaxes, learning continues. Letting go of ego is not about sounding humble. It is about being honest in your method, following facts, accepting correction, and moving forward. A young mind updates. Many people treat beliefs like fixed objects. They hold them tightly, defend them, and repeat them. This creates stiffness. And stiff thinking grows old quickly. Good thinking follows evidence. When results change, your model should change too. That is not weakness. It is the correct response to new information. You can apply this by tracking outcomes and comparing predictions to results. If your method fails, revise it. If a belief leads to poor decisions, correct it. This keeps thinking clean and flexible. Updating beliefs also reduces wasted effort. You stop defending errors and repeating broken habits. You move toward what works, and learning stays real over time. When you are willing to update, you stay mentally alive. The mind stays young through a repeatable routine. Mental youth is not a mystery. It is a set of habits that keep thinking active. Ask honest questions. Stay comfortable with not knowing. Learn like a beginner. Explain simply. Test ideas. Connect knowledge. Stay curious every day. Let go of ego. Update beliefs when facts change. These habits keep the mind working in a healthy direction. They prevent mental laziness and false certainty. They keep learning open and ongoing. You can treat this as a daily practice. You do not need to change everything at once. Ask one honest question each day. Explain one idea in simple words. Test one belief in a small way, and then repeat. Over time, your mind becomes more flexible, clearer, and more active. That is what mental youth looks like in practice. A young mind grows from lifelong curious thinking.